If you're a man over 60 and you've been told to just eat more vegetables for better health, I need you to stop and listen, because one of the vegetables in your fridge right now may be the reason your erections are fading, your prostate is swelling, and your energy is slipping away. It's not because you're old, it's because you've been eating what the world told you was healthy without realizing. It's slowly draining your manhood. I am Dr. Mohit Kara, a board-certified urologist and men's health specialist, with over 30 years of experience helping men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s reclaim their vitality and bedroom performance naturally. And what I've seen time and time again is that the most powerful medicine isn't in a pill, it's on your plate. What if I told you that certain vegetables, yes, vegetables are loaded with hidden compounds that raise estrogen, stiffen arteries, and inflame the prostate? And worse, most of these are labeled heart-healthy by well-meaning experts. That's the paradox. The very foods meant to help may be hurting you the most. In this video, I'll reveal 4 vegetables you must cut out immediately if you care about circulation, testosterone, and performance, and 4 powerful vegetables that can do the opposite: restore your blood flow, sharpen your confidence, and support your prostate starting in just days. And stay with me until the end, because I'll expose one green vegetable that raises estrogen in men over 60 by over 30. And most doctors never warn you about it. Once you learn the truth, you'll never look at your vegetables the same way again. Before we dive into these eye-opening truths about the vegetables that may be silently harming your health, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss another video designed to help you stay strong, sharp, and confident after 60. And if you find this information helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I can keep improving these videos for you. Alright, let's get into it. Starting with the truth, most men are never told these are the 4 vegetables you must avoid after 60. Because while they may seem healthy on the surface, they can quietly weaken your circulation, raise estrogen, inflame your prostate, and drain your vitality when you need it most. Let's take a closer look at what they are and why they may be doing more harm than good. 1. Soybeans, edamame, tofu, soy milk. Let me tell you about a man I once treated. His name was Robert, 68 years old, retired school principal, sharp, mind-loving wife. But something was missing. He came into my office, frustrated, quietly embarrassed. "Doc," he said, "everything else works, but I just don't feel like myself anymore. I'm tired. My energy's down, and the fire in the bedroom, it's gone." We ran tests. Nothing major stood out. His heart was fine, his cholesterol a little high, but one thing caught my eye: his estrogen levels were unusually elevated for a man his age. That's when I asked him about his diet. Robert proudly told me he'd switched to tofu, soy milk, and edamame a few years ago. "I thought it was heart-healthy," he said, and that's when it clicked. Soybeans, while praised by many health experts, are loaded with phytoestrogens, plant compounds that mimic the effects of estrogen in the male body. Now, that might not sound like a big deal, but for a man over 60, it's critical. At this stage in life, your natural testosterone levels are already in gradual decline. Introduce estrogen-like compounds into your diet, especially in the form of soy, and you're tipping the balance even further in the wrong direction. What does that mean in the real world? Lower libido, slower recovery, a softer, more fatigued body, and for many men, yes, like Robert, erections that become inconsistent, weaker, or disappear entirely. I've seen it more times than I can count. The problem isn't just the soy itself. It's how often it sneaks into your diet without you even realizing. It's in protein bars, salad dressings, packaged snacks, fake meats. The food industry loves soy because it's cheap. And it's not just about testosterone either. Soy has also been linked in some studies to increased inflammation and even thyroid disruption in older adults. Combine that with age-related changes in circulation and nerve sensitivity, and you've got a perfect storm for declining intimacy and confidence. Robert was shocked when I explained it, but he was willing to try something new. We removed the soy, Within weeks, he came back with more energy. A month later, his wife sent me a thank you card. Handwritten, it said, "You gave me my husband back." Now am I saying soy is poison? No. But for men over 60, especially those dealing with fatigue, erectile issues, or prostate concerns, it's a vegetable best left off the plate. There are better ways to fuel your body without compromising your manhood. And speaking of healthy foods with a hidden dark side, wait until you hear about the vegetable that's often used to support blood pressure. But when processed, it may be secretly stiffening your arteries and draining blood flow from where you need it most. You won't believe how common it is. Let's take a closer look. 2 pickled or canned beets. Not long ago, a patient of mine, Harold, 72, walked into my office with a puzzled look on his face. He said, "Doc, I've been doing everything right. I eat beets almost every day. I read they're great for blood flow, so I've been having them with dinner. But I still feel cold in my legs. And honestly, things aren't improving down there either." That down there part was said with a whisper, the way many older men speak when their confidence starts to slip. I smiled, nodded, and asked him one simple question. "Harold, are you eating them fresh or from a can?" He paused. "Canned." He said, "Pickled sometimes too. It's easier." And there it was. Beets in their natural form are one of the most powerful vegetables for echolation. They're packed with nitrates, which the body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule that opens up your blood vessels and increases flow. That's essential for strong legs, a sharp brain, and yes, healthy, reliable erections. But here's the problem. When beets are canned or pickled, their magic disappears. The high heat used in the canning process, combined with long-term storage, destroys a significant portion of those beneficial nitrates, and the brining process used in pickling, it loads them with sodium and vinegar, which constrict your arteries and undo the very benefit you're hoping for. In other words, Harold thought he was fueling his blood flow, but in reality he was quietly stiffening his arteries, especially the tiny sensitive ones that feed the pelvic region. He was unintentionally working against himself. After reviewing his diet more closely, I found he was getting nearly double the recommended daily intake of sodium, most of it coming from those healthy pickled vegetables. And that level of salt, it doesn't just raise your blood pressure, it can actually reduce nitric oxide availability, leading to decreased circulation and even contributing to erectile dysfunction in older men. We replaced the canned beets with fresh roasted beets, seasoned lightly with olive oil and sea salt. Nothing fancy. Within 2 weeks, Harold felt warmer in his hands and feet. Within a month, he had more energy for his morning walks, and soon after that, his bedroom confidence returned without needing a prescription. This is what I tell every patient now. Not all vegetables are created equal. Processing changes everything. What starts as medicine can become a toxin in the wrong form. So next time you're reaching for a can or a jar, ask yourself, is this helping my blood vessels or silently closing them off? And now let's turn to a vegetable that many believe is a gift from nature. A favorite in Mediterranean diets, praised for its flavor and texture, but for older men especially, those struggling with joint pain or nerve sensitivity, it could be a hidden source of inflammation that affects far more than just your knees. Stay with me. This one surprises a lot of people. 3 nightshade vegetables, especially eggplant. I'll never forget the afternoon I sat with Frank, a 75-year-old retired contractor who had hands like worn leather and a heart as big as Texas. He'd come in for routine labs, but the conversation quickly turned personal. He said, "My knees hurt like hell. My back aches. And to be honest with you, I've lost all feeling down there. Not pain, just nothing. It's like the lights went out." We ran the tests. Nothing alarming, but something about Frank's story didn't sit right. He was otherwise active, walked every day, ate what he thought was a healthy diet, grilled vegetables, lots of color on the plate, just like they say on TV. Then I asked him to walk me through his meals, and one word stood out: eggplant. I eat it almost every night. My wife bakes it with tomato and cheese, Mediterranean style. Here's the thing, while eggplant might sound like a gourmet health food, it belongs to the nightshade family, a group of vegetables that includes tomatoes, peppers, and white potatoes. Now, tomatoes in moderation can be helpful, but eggplant for many older adults, especially men, it can be problematic. Nightshades contain natural compounds called alkaloids, and in some people these compounds can trigger low-grade inflammation in the joints and nerves. That might sound mild, but for someone already dealing with age-related inflammation, it adds fuel to the fire. And in men like Frank, who already had mild circulatory issues, it meant worsened nerve sensitivity, not just in the knees, but in the pelvic floor as well. That dull, lifeless sensation he described. It wasn't just about testosterone or blood flow, it was about nerve signaling being impaired. Think of your body like an electrical system. If the wires are inflamed or corroded, the signals can't get through even if the power is on. That's what alkaloids can do over time. Once we removed eggplant from Frank's diet and reduced his intake of other nightshades, something changed within weeks. The tingling in his legs faded, his knees felt looser, and one day he came in with a smile, leaned close and whispered, "Doc, it's coming back. I can feel something again." That kind of moment is why I do this work. Look, I'm not saying every man over 60 needs to fear every tomato or pepper, but if you're noticing stiffness, pelvic discomfort, or numbness, especially alongside intimacy problems, it's worth examining your relationship with nightshades, because inflammation doesn't always show up as swelling. Sometimes it shows up as silence, as loss of connection. And speaking of missed connections, there's one vegetable left on our list that fools even the smartest eaters. It's one most people praise as healthy, especially for cancer prevention. But when overcooked or microwaved, it loses its healing powers and starts doing the opposite. In fact, if you've ever wondered why your clean eating routine hasn't brought back your strength, this might be the silent reason why. Let's dig into it. 4 overcooked broccoli, or microwaved cruciferous veggies. A man named Walter came to see me not long ago. He was 69, widowed, a proud grandfather, and a man who'd followed health advice to the letter. He told me I steam my broccoli every night. "Doc, been doing it for years. I heard it's good for the prostate and keeps me regular." He chuckled as he said it, but beneath the humor I sensed concern. He leaned in, lowered his voice, and confessed that his energy wasn't what it used to be. More troubling, he'd noticed his nighttime urination increasing, his bedroom performance fading, and a kind of mental fog creeping in. "I'm doing all the right things," he said, "so why do I feel like I'm fading?" And that's when I asked him how exactly he was preparing his vegetables. "Well," he said proudly, "I steam the life out of that broccoli. Sometimes I microwave it too when I'm in a rush." That last sentence struck a nerve, because here's the truth. While broccoli is one of the most powerful vegetables for men over 60, especially when it comes to detoxing, estrogen, and protecting the prostate, it only works if it's prepared the right way. Broccoli, like other cruciferous vegetables, such as Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, contains a compound called sulforaphane. This compound is a game changer. It helps your liver process toxins, reduces systemic inflammation, and most importantly, for older men, it lowers excess estrogen and supports healthy testosterone balance. But there's a catch. Sulforaphane is incredibly sensitive to heat. The moment you overcook broccoli, or worse, microwave it, you destroy most of that healing compound. What you're left with is a limp, lifeless stalk that offers fiber, sure, but none of the protective punch your aging body needs. Walter had been unknowingly stripping away the very nutrient his body was craving. He was eating a food meant to defend his manhood, but preparing it in a way that turned it into dead weight. Once we made a simple switch, lightly steaming the broccoli for no more than 3 minutes, or even eating it raw in a slaw with olive oil and lemon, he began to notice subtle changes. His mind felt clearer, his nighttime urination slowed, and gradually his energy began to return. It's a small change, but in men Over 60 small things matter. Over time, repeated habits either heal or harm, and sadly, so many men think they're doing something right because they've been told to eat more veggies, without realizing how they prepare those vegetables makes all the difference. So here's the truth. Overcooking broccoli doesn't just dull its flavor. It robs your body of one of the most powerful prostate-protecting compounds on Earth. And microwaving it, that's like throwing water on a fire you desperately need. Eat. Now that you know which vegetables to avoid or at least prepare properly, let's talk about the ones that can truly nourish your manhood. Because when you put the right foods on your plate, the difference can be felt in your energy, your confidence, and even your connection with your partner. What are these performance-boosting vegetables and how can they help you feel younger from the inside out? Let's find out. 1. Arugula, the bedroom. Rocket fuel. There's something beautifully simple about watching a man come back to life. I saw it in Tom, a 71-year-old former Air Force mechanic who hadn't felt strong in years. He sat in my office one morning, quiet at first, then said, "Doc, I'm not looking for miracles. I just want to feel like a man again like I used to." His wife had passed away 3 years earlier. Since then, he said the spark in his body and in his soul had dimmed. "I still want to live fully," he whispered. "I just don't know how to get there anymore." We talked about his lifestyle, medications, and diet. Nothing unusual until he mentioned his meals. They were mostly beige toast, pasta, meat. He barely touched greens, especially not the kind that matter most. That's when I introduced him to a quiet powerhouse, arugula. Now, arugula might seem like just another salad green, but I can tell you as a doctor, it's anything but ordinary. This peppery leaf is packed with natural nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is the key that unlocks blood vessels. It relaxes them, opens them up, and allows blood to flow freely, especially to the places where it counts most for a man's performance. Unlike synthetic drugs that force blood flow and come with side effects, arugula works with your body's natural pathways. It helps the arteries do what they were designed to do, expand and nourish, and that makes a difference in how you feel, not just in the bedroom, but all day long. Better blood flow means sharper thinking, warmer limbs, and yes, stronger, more consistent erections. When Tom began adding arugula to his meals, just a handful on his eggs in the morning, a small salad with dinner, he didn't expect much, but within a week he told me something had shifted. He felt more alert. His legs didn't feel so heavy. Then one morning he woke up with something he hadn't felt in nearly 2 years. He smiled at me with tears in his eyes when he said it. "Doc, it worked, and I didn't need a blue pill." That's the quiet power of arugula. It's not flashy, it's not marketed to men over 60, but it works with the body in a way that restores dignity and strength. And it's not just about the leaf, it's the message behind it that real healing doesn't have to come from a pharmacy. Sometimes it grows from the ground, waits patiently on your plate, and offers to give you back what age and stress have taken away. But arugula is just the beginning. There's another vegetable that holds incredible power, one that's often overlooked because it's messy to prepare. Yet, when eaten fresh, it sends a surge of blood through your system, sharpens your energy, and helps restore your performance in as little as 12 hours. Let's explore it together. 2. Red beets, fresh or roasted only. When I think about the most underrated foods for older men, red beets always come to mind. I once had a patient named Carl, 67, a retired firefighter with a tough exterior and a tender heart. He came to me frustrated, not because of illness or pain, but because of a slow, steady loss of something he couldn't quite describe. "I still love my wife," he told me, "but I don't feel the energy I used to. I don't feel like the man I once was." And to be honest, I think she sees it too. We looked at everything: sleep, stress, medications, but I kept coming back to one thing: circulation. Carl's legs felt cold. Most mornings, his endurance was slipping. He'd even begun skipping intimacy out of silent shame. What most men don't realize is that these changes almost always start with blood flow, and when that declines, everything else follows. That's when I told Carl about red beets, fresh roasted, earthy red beets. They're not glamorous, they stain your fingers. They have a strong taste, but inside they hold one of the most powerful compounds for restoring blood flow in aging men, dietary nitrates. These nitrates convert into nitric oxide, a molecule that tells your blood vessels to open up, relax, and allow oxygen-rich blood to flow freely through the body. That includes your legs, your heart, your brain, and yes, your penis. Beets are like a natural food-based version of what those little blue pills promise. Only this time, your body does the work itself. Carl began roasting beets in the oven a few nights a week. Just olive oil, sea salt, and patience. Within days, he felt warmer, he walked farther, he said his mind didn't drift so easily anymore. But the real change came quietly early one morning when he leaned against the exam room counter and said, "Doc, she smiled at me last night like she used to." That meant more to me than anything. I see stories like Carl's all the time. Beets help restore a part of the body. Many men think they've lost for good, not just function, but dignity. And it's not magic, it's blood flow. It's oxygen. It's reclaiming the simple things that make you feel vital. But here's the catch. They must be fresh or roasted, not pickled, not canned. Once they're soaked in brine or boiled down in a factory, the nitrates vanish, and what's left may do more harm than good. That's why I always say, real healing begins in real food, prepared with real care. If you want to feel a noticeable difference in your circulation, clarity, and connection, start with fresh red beets. Just give it a week. Your body will notice, and so might your partner. But beets aren't the only powerhouse in your kitchen. There's another vegetable that protects something far deeper. Your prostate. It's rich red and turns into a powerful antioxidant. The moment you heat it, most men eat it raw and miss the benefit entirely. Let's uncover this silent warrior. Next, 3 cooked tomatoes, the silent prostate guardian. I remember the day Richard walked into my office. He was 74, silver hair, still dressed sharp like the salesman he used to be, but there was a heaviness in his eyes that went deeper than physical discomfort. It's not just the frequent urination, he told me. It's the constant worry, the pressure. Every time I try to be intimate with my wife, I'm either too tired, too distracted, or too embarrassed by what doesn't work anymore. He paused, then said something that stayed with me. I just want to be her man again, not her patient. What Richard was experiencing is something many men over 60 deal with: prostate pressure, hormonal imbalance, and a steady decline in performance that chips away at your confidence. But what most don't realize is that there's one humble vegetable that's been quietly protecting the prostate for decades. And when eaten the right way, it can change everything. That vegetable is the tomato. But here's the catch. It's not about eating it raw, it's about cooking it. When tomatoes are cooked, they release a powerful compound called lycopene, an antioxidant with a unique ability to target prostate tissue, reduce inflammation, and defend your cells against damage. Lycopene isn't just good for heart health. It's one of the few natural nutrients that has been clinically shown to reduce the risk of prostate enlargement and even lower the risk of prostate cancer in aging men. I told Richard to start slow, add cooked tomatoes to his meals, homemade sauces, roasted tomatoes on toast, or even a simple tomato soup made with olive oil and herbs. The key: always include a healthy fat like olive oil, which boosts like a peanut absorption. It doesn't need to be fancy, it just needs to be real. Within a few weeks, he noticed less urgency at night. He slept better. "You're laughing again," she told him. "You're not glued to the bathroom door." That shift, small, quiet, and steady, was the beginning of him reclaiming his role as husband, not just patient. This is why I call cooked tomatoes the silent prostate guardian. They don't make headlines, they don't come with instant results, but day after day, they support the male body in the way it needs most: by reducing the inflammation and oxidative stress that quietly rob you of your strength. And remember, this isn't about perfection. You don't need to eat bowls of tomatoes. Just 2 to 3 servings a week of cooked tomato dishes can make a difference over time. Add garlic, basil, and olive oil, and you've got a healing dish your body will thank you for. But while tomatoes guard the prostate, there's one more vegetable that works on another front. It doesn't just support circulation or hormone balance, it actually helps free up testosterone that's trapped in your body. It's the final key in helping older men feel truly alive again, and believe it or not, it's been sitting quietly in your fridge for years. Let's talk about it next. Spinach, the testosterone ally. I once sat across from Leonard, a soft-spoken 70-year-old with a gentle way about him. He'd been married for over 40 years and loved his wife deeply, but he confessed something that many men are afraid to say out loud. "I'm still in love with her," he said quietly, "but I just don't feel like a man anymore. I don't have the strength, not in my body, not in my mind, not in my desire. I feel faded." Leonard wasn't sick. He wasn't on too many medications, but he had all the telltale signs of low testosterone, low energy, brain fog, reduced motivation, and a distance from his wife that hurt more than he'd let on. And like so many men his age, he thought it was just part of getting older, something to accept, something to endure. But it's not just age, it's depletion. Years of stress-processed food, poor circulation, and mineral loss can strip the body of what it needs to produce and use testosterone properly. And one of the most overlooked solutions to that problem is something you can find in nearly every grocery store: spinach. That alone can be the difference between fatigue and vitality, between disconnection and confidence. I told Leonard to start small, just add a handful of steamed spinach to his breakfast or lunch every day. It didn't take long before he noticed the shift. First, it was in his mood. He felt more alert, more engaged in conversation. Then it was in his body. His legs felt steadier, his walks longer. But the moment that moved him most one morning, his wife kissed him and said, "You're standing taller again." That's what spinach can do, not just because it's green or natural or trendy, but because it nourishes the systems in your body that matter most as you age. It supports blood flow, it helps balance hormones, and it does it all without needing a prescription, without side effects, and without stripping your body of its dignity. So don't overlook it. Whether it's steamed, sautéed, or blended into a smoothie, make spinach a regular part of your routine. Over time, you'll feel the difference, not just in your energy or performance, but in the quiet strength you carry through your day. Now that we've covered the 4 vegetables you should be eating to restore circulation, hormone balance, and confidence, there's one more thing I want to share, because even with the right foods on your plate, there's a critical mistake many seniors make at mealtime that silently weakens blood flow and steals your strength. It's not what you eat, but how and when you eat it. Let me explain. Conclusion. What happens when you choose the right vegetables? After 60, when I look back over the decades I've spent helping men reclaim their strength after 60, I've learned something powerful. Transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't come in a bottle. It comes from the daily choices you make, especially the ones you put on your plate. I've seen men like Robert remove soy from their diets and feel their energy return. Men like Harold switch from canned beets to fresh ones and notice warmth in their limbs again. I've seen Frank say goodbye to eggplant and finally feel sensation returning where there had once been only numbness. And I've seen Walter steam his broccoli with more care and finally sleep through the night without rushing to the bathroom. These aren't miracles, they're shifts. Quiet, steady, deeply human changes that start with knowing better and choosing better. Then there are the men who embraced the right vegetables. Men like Tom, who found strength again in a handful of arugula; Carl, who roasted his way back to energy with fresh red beets; Richard, who protected his prostate with cooked tomatoes and found his rhythm again; and Leonard, who found his confidence, his posture, his voice, his pride, all from something as humble as spinach. Each one of these stories reminds me that aging doesn't mean fading. It means adapting, learning, choosing differently. The body is still listening, even after 60, 70, or 80. And when you start feeding it what it truly needs, it responds. Maybe not in a flash, maybe not overnight, but slowly, steadily, and always with dignity. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with from this video, it's this. Not all vegetables are good for every man, and not every health food belongs on your plate. What you avoid matters just as much as what you choose. The 4 vegetables we talked about today, soy, pickled, or canned beets, nightshades like eggplant and overcooked, cruciferous veggies can rob you of circulation, hormonal balance, and the very strength that defines your manhood. But the right 4, arugula, fresh red beets, cooked tomatoes, and spinach, can rebuild that strength from the inside out. You have more control over your health, your energy, and your confidence than you've been told. Your future doesn't have to be weaker than your past, and no matter what age you are, it's never too late to choose vitality, one forkful at a time. I say this not just as a doctor, but as someone who's walked this road with thousands of men, many who believed they were too far gone, too broken, or too old to change, and they were wrong. Just like I hope you now know you're not too old, you're just one good choice away from a better tomorrow. In the next video, we'll dive deeper into how to combine these foods into simple a delicious meals that support circulation, hormone health, and bedroom confidence. And I'll show you a 7-day plan that has helped countless men feel the difference in their legs, their hearts, and their lives. Don't miss it. Your next chapter starts now. If this video helped you or someone you care about, please take a moment to like, share, and leave a comment below. Your story, your questions, or even just a thank you might be the encouragement another man needs to take his first step toward better health. I read every comment, and your feedback helps shape the future of this channel. If you know someone over 60 who's struggling with energy, intimacy, or confidence, share this video with them. It could make more of a difference than any prescription ever could. And if you'd like to support this mission to bring real life-changing health advice to seniors around the world, consider making a small donation using the link in the description. Every contribution helps keep these videos ad-free, honest, and available to the people who need them most. Your health matters, your voice matters, and your support means the world. So please like, comment, share, and if you can donate, let's keep building this community of strong, informed, and empowered men. One choice at a time.